Hi guys, and welcome to your lesson today on representing and describing decimals to the hundredths. So let's jump right in. The last video was on the place value tenth, so that is the number that comes right after the decimal. But if we add another digit behind the decimal to have two digits, those are actually the hundredths. And those numbers are 100 times smaller than the numbers in the ones place value. So if we have the number 347 and 27 hundredths, we know the 3 represents 300, we know the 4 represents 40 or 4 tenths, the 7 represents 7 ones, and now we have 27 hundredths. So that is representing like this, 27 hundredths. Now, if we were to take that 27 hundredths and put it in our diagram right here, we have this hundreds block. There are 10 rows of 10, so we're going to color in 2 full rows to make 20. So 10, 20, and then we're going to color in 7 extra blocks. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Our fraction is 27 hundredths, and our decimal is 0 because we do not have a whole. We're not going to be looking at this number here. We're looking at just the decimal part. And 27 hundredths, just like that. Now, there is something else that we need to look at before we move on to more examples. So if, for instance, let's say we only had 3 hundredths like this. So our fraction would be 3 hundredths, and our decimal, watch very closely, it's going to be 0 and 0 and then a 3. 0 and 3 hundredths, okay? You need to make sure you put a 0 here because we only have 3 hundredths and we have 2 digits to fill. If we were to have, let's say this, 0 and like that, that's 0 and 3 tenths. That is a way different number than 0 and 3 hundredths, because 0 and 3 tenths is actually equal to 0 and 30 hundredths. So look at that, how much more we've colored in. So this is actually equal to 0 and 30 hundredths. So we will be learning about that later on. For right now, you just need to know that if you have anything below 9 colored in the hundredths, you must put a 0 first and then the number. So let's look at a few more examples. So you're going to need your whiteboard, your marker, and then something to erase with. I have one of our school socks. So let's look at our first example. Oh, look at this. We have 1, 2, 3, 4 colored in. So our fraction is going to be 4 hundredths, and our decimal is going to be 0, and don't forget that extra 0, 4 hundredths, because if you did this, that's actually equal to 0 and 40 hundredths. That's way different than 0 and 4 hundredths. So make sure you add that 0. Our word form is 0 and 4 hundredths. Make sure you add that THS to the end. It's not hundreds, it's hundredths. Let's go ahead and erase and do our second example. Our next one here looks like we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 full rows, so that's 70, plus 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So we have 77 hundredths. Our fraction would look like this, 77 over 100. Our decimal is going to be 0, and we have 2 digits, so we don't have to add a 0, 77 hundredths. And our word form is 0 and 77 hundredths. Careful about your spelling. Hundredths. Perfect. Make sure you have that THS at the end. Let's go and look at a few more examples. Okay, so this time it looks like we have one full box colored in. So just like our previous video, we're going to be doing a mixed fraction. So we have one whole covered in and one little piece here, 100th colored in. So our decimal is going to be 1, and don't forget that 0, 100th. if you were to go 1 like this, that'd be 1 and 10/100ths. That's a way different number. Okay, and our word form would be 1, you don't need to put a 0 because we have 1 whole, 1 and 1/100th. Make sure you add 1 and 100th. Don't need to add an S. 1 and 100th to the end there. Let's look at our next example. We have 1 whole, and then we have 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, plus 1, 2, 3. So our fraction is going to be 1 and 83/100ths. Our decimal is going to be 1 and 83/100ths. And our word form is going to be 1 and 83/100ths. Make sure you add that THS to the end there. Awesome. So let's move on and do a few more examples. So this time, I would like you to pause the video and try these on your own. So these are not colored in, but you do have an a clue for your word form for the first one, and then a clue for your decimal form for the second one. So pause the video and then come back to see if you got the answers right. Okay, here we go. So the first one, the example is, or the word form clue is 0 and 13/100ths. So I would have to color in 1 full row for 10, and then I would have to color in 3 extra to make it 13. So our fraction would be 13/100ths, and our decimal would be 0 and 13/100ths, like that. Next, I'm going to erase it for the next example. So the next one here, it looks like we have 2 boxes, but look, oh, we don't even need it. Look at the decimal clue that we have. So we have 0 and 5/100ths. So that means our fraction is going to look like this. 5/100, 5/100ths. And our word form would look like this. 0 and 5/100ths. Just like that. Perfect. So that's where our lesson is going to end for today. I would like you to go back into either the Chillin' with Chankasing Week 7 document or into Google Classroom, and I have posted a bunch of different practice worksheets for decimals from tenths to hundredths, and even mixed worksheets where you have to look and decide between tenths and hundredths. Then when you're done, you're going to go back into Google Classroom and complete the decimal to 1/200ths Google form. Good luck!